Is this the last face Stacy McCall, Susie Streeter, and Sherrill Levitt ever saw?
We're talking about Robert Craig Cox.
Robert Craig Cox was a highly decorated, highly skilled Army Ranger with a horrifying history of abducting young women. He was even suspected of a brutal murder, but later cleared.
Through investigation, he became a person of interest with this case.
Cops learned Cox moved to Springfield just weeks before Stacy, Susie, and Sherrill mysteriously disappeared. And here's the most intriguing part. Family members tell our Kim Goldman this monster actually worked with Stacy's dad at a local car dealership.
Do you think that she was the intended target?
Obviously, it wouldn't take long to stake out.
The families now wonder if Cox took a liking to Stacy and followed her to Susie's home.
And did Stacy just happen to be there that night?
Cops haul him in for questioning.
A lot of the things that he said didn't add up.
The biggest problem, his girlfriend gives him an ironclad alibi, claiming they were at, of all places, church. Cops keep their eye on Cox, but start chasing other leads.
We would get phone calls about bones being found or this suspect or that suspect, but everything would turn out to be nothing. Pretty soon, you just didn't believe.
And then a familiar face resurfaces. Robert Craig Cox is arrested again, this time in Texas for aggravated robbery. And now his girlfriend is singing an entirely different tune, recanting his alibi, claiming she has no idea where Cox was the night the Springfield 3 went missing.
He was charged down in Texas, and he's currently serving prison time in Texas.
When investigative reporter Dennis Graves from our Springfield affiliate KY3 gets wind of the recanted alibi, he heads to Texas on a hunch. Graves is hoping to find out if Cox knows anything about the missing 3 in Springfield. Instead, he gets what sounds like a confession from a killer.
I know that they're dead. I'll say that. I know that.
That's not a theory.
Yeah, but I know that I just know that they're dead. That's not my theory, I just know that.
When pushed for details, Cox tells Graves he won't give specifics until his dear mother passes. She is 82.
There's no doubt about that.
He's made different statements that, of course, keeps him as a person of interest, but never has made any true statements to point us in one direction or another.
But then he was ruled out.
He's never been ruled out.
The case cools off, and it may have stayed that way if not for this woman, Kathy Baird, a freelance journalist in Springfield.
What connects you to the story of the Springfield 3?
I was here when they went missing. I was like, just let's give it a shot. You know, let's see if we can help bring justice for 3 women that nobody knows what happened to.
But soon, the reporter becomes the lead story. Kathy gets a tip. The women are buried beneath this hospital parking structure, which at the time was a dirt lot.
Did you bring that information to the police department?
Yes.
And what did they do with it?
Pretty much laughed at me.
Undeterred, Kathy hires a man who uses high-tech ground-penetrating radar capable of finding graves hidden under concrete.
Yes, sir, right here. Right in here.
He said, I'm getting 2 images over here and 1 over here. And I said, oh. And that's what I told him. I'm working the disappearance of 3 women. And he was kind of like, well, this is exactly what I see when I go over old graves.
But police say the timeline doesn't add up.
A year after they went missing is when that parking garage started construction.
Couldn't the theory be, though, that they were buried in the ground there and then the hospital parking lot was just on top of it?
You'd also would have guessed that excavation in order to build the parking garage should have unearthed them.
When our Kim Goldman asks Kathy who she believes murdered the women and buried their bodies under the parking lot, our interview takes a bizarre and unexpected turn.
Do you have strong theories of what happened to Sherrill, Susie, and Stacy?
I believe I know what happened. I believe they were killed before morning.
Who do you think was the target?
It wasn't Stacy.
So that leaves Susie or Sherrill.
Yeah.
And Stacy was just collateral damage?
Unfortunately.
What do you believe the motives were for the people that took Stacy, Sherrill, and Suzie?
I'm not going to talk about that.
But wait a minute. Kathy says she knows, and she's not going to tell.
You're on national television, you've got the world at your fingertips. Why won't you share it here? Why are you doing this interview with us?
Because their story needs an ending. That's why.
Frustration boils over, and then our producer jumps in.
I continue to be confused why we're doing this interview.
I've already said that. I mean,
Make it, you know what? I've been doing this a long time. It's not real clear because you're talking in code.
Sorry you don't think that I'm giving you the answers that you need or you want, but I live here. And yeah, I'm afraid for my safety.
What kinds of things have happened?
We've been boxed in by cars before, and somebody came up to me and asked if I was Kathy Baird, and I said yes. And then he said, well, the people I work for make people like you disappear too.
So, death threats.
I've been advised to leave this case alone.
Kathy will not even tell us who's threatening her, but vows she will never leave this case alone until she can prove who's responsible for making the Springfield 3 disappear.
There's something really, really dark in this story.
There is something very dark in this story. Something super frightening when you get down to it, of who you trust. Just be very careful. There's a reason this case hasn't been solved.
Springfield police say they have big questions about Kathy's story. In fact, they say some of her tips come from psychics. But Sergeant Todd King says they welcome every possible lead. This room is dedicated to the nearly 10,000 tips that have come in over the past quarter century.
It's just a reminder that the ladies are still missing. We still need to be diligent in what we're doing in hopes of finding them.
He assures us no one wants to solve this 25-year-old mystery more than they do.
I can't even imagine what the conversations must be like with the families when you do talk to them, that you just can't seem to give them answers.
I would love nothing more to be able to show up at their doorstep and say, we figured it out.
I do believe they're probably gone. They're probably deceased. I don't have anything that tells me for sure. So until they have found their remains, I have to believe that they're still alive and well.
A $42,000 reward has been set up to find the person or persons responsible for the abduction of the Springfield 3. If you know anything, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 1-417-869-TIPS, or you can submit a tip at crimewatchdaily.com. I'm Chris Hansen. If you like this story, make sure you tune in every day to Crime Watch Daily. You can find where the show airs in your city at crimewatchdaily.com. Watch it live or record it on your DVR and watch it at night. And to all those criminals out there, remember, we are watching.